Hello and welcome to the North America Gaelic Football Podcast, the home of Gaelic football here in North America. I am your host, Gareth McAlinton, along with our co-host, Limerick's finest, Connor Green. Before we get started, just a quick shout out to our sponsors, Masita, who have been the official sponsor of the USGAA since 2017. Masita, one of Ireland's leading manufacturers of sports kits and teamwear. They're 100% Irish owned family business who are passionate and dedicated about supplying their customers with quality gear and top-class service. So if your club is interested in getting involved with Masita's teamwear for the upcoming season, please reach out to us. We're happy to get you on to the right people. So let's get this episode kicked off, lads. So we're here with Michael. Michael, I am going to butcher your last name, so I'm going to let you take the rope for that. But Tom Walsh, I think that's a pretty easy one for me to kick that off. Lads, welcome to the show. Appreciate you taking the time to meet with us this morning.
Thank you, guys. Thank you both. Good morning. You guys are doing great work.
Michael, do you want to confirm that last name?
Yes, Michael Schaefer.
Schaefer, there we go. All right, that's gonna
German name.
Just to clear up any anything that we needed to clear there. So yeah, why don't we just kick off just a little introduction to yourselves, a little bit about your journey through Gaelic football and hurling, the GAA in general. Mike, do you want to kick us off?
You bet. Thanks, Garth. So I am currently the chairman of the Southwest Division of the United States Gaelic Athletic Association. I came into the sport of hurling about 12 years ago. Like many homegrown players, were introduced to the sport through a friend. Thought it was probably the most incredible thing I'd ever seen and figured I had to play that. So I started playing about 12 years ago. And about 6 years ago, I with a good friend of mine, co-founded a hurling club here in Denver, Colorado called Regulators Hurling. And then probably, I'd say like 4 years ago, I got involved in the Southwest Division. I started out as division secretary and did that for a few years, and then eventually became the chairman. And I've been doing that. I'm in my fourth year and thoroughly enjoyed it. Obviously, been through the challenges of COVID and everything else, but it's been a wonderful journey.
Tom, what about yourself?
Good morning, lads. So I grew up in Philadelphia. My mother's from Tipperary, so I'd go home to visit family. And a cousin of mine played a bit of camogie for Tumivara and Tipperary back in the 90s. And that's where I first learned about Gaelic games at all. Fast forward to 2008. I was out in Denver and looking for some sport to join. And a buddy of mine, Adam O'Leary, introduced me to the Denver Gales, where I played hurling initially, and then eventually touched a football for the first time around 30. And then after playing for a few years, I served as chair for the Denver Gales for a few years. I was the treasurer on the Southwest board for a few years, and I'm now in my fourth year as treasurer of the USGAA.
How was a little bit of background about that position? Because, the USGAA board members is probably a little bit different than your regional division. So how does that differ from, your division role as when you were with the Southwest board?
Yeah, it's definitely a step up. We meet more frequently, just precisely because we're managing, basically so much of greater territory, so many more clubs than a division would. And, you're managing relationships with the clubs, with the divisions, and then you also have relationships in Ireland that you're managing. We get great support from Croke Park, Department of Foreign Affairs, Masita, one of your sponsors, have been really great partners. So I think it's just a lot more volume of work. But no, it's been a really great experience. I was listening to your interview with Peter Murray, and he talked about, not turning anyone away. And I think that's really important when you consider you don't just need athletes to make this sport successful. We need administrators, we need referees, all of that. And there's certainly a part for anyone to play. So we're not just focused on athletes. We definitely do need administrators, and it's a definitely it's a commitment of time, but it's well worthwhile.
I think you said something very important there: managing relationships across the country, because I'm sure there's a little bit of button heads here and there. Meetings can get a little debate-ish, if that makes sense. So
Spirited discussion.
Yeah. But I'm sure,
Have you been to
managing
a
a relationship.
convention?
I actually haven't been to a convention yet, but I heard it's like an episode of Jerry Springer. It's just
Highly entertaining.
you can sit back and relax, and so maybe not that bad at Jerry Springer, but it can get a little heated sometimes. I kind of would just want to go there with a popcorn one day and sit in the back, and, enjoy a weekend.
That'd be safest. That's the safest way. No, but I mean, you think about, that's the one time a year that we bring all of our clubs together, right? And so, we're all in person, and that's a chance for a lot of people to raise issues that they've been discussing internally in their clubs and their divisions. It's that one time per year. So, it brings a lot of pressure, I think, to a lot of people who are attending that have issues that they want to present. And that's our democratic process that we enjoy.
Yeah. Connor, I thought I heard a rumor that the next convention was in Mexico City. Is there any truth in that, boys?
Yeah, in January. Yeah, that works.
I think that would work for everyone. But we'll settle for Cancun, because it's easier to get the resort going. That'll be something.
Gareth is going to be the first investor in the Mexico City Gaelic football team there. I think the way he's talking about him.
Oh, I'm fascinated by it.
So
we'll have them.
Can you talk to us a bit about the Southwest Division? Like, what are the big competitions that go on every year?
The Southwest Division is actually the second largest division in the United States. We have 13 clubs in the division, 5 in California, 4 in Texas, 2 in Colorado, 1 in Arizona, and now recently we've just had a club join from Mexico City. So we've got. It looks like we're shooting to hopefully have up to 800 players register this year within our division. So we're seeing a lot of growth in the division, which is fantastic. The one challenge with our division is the geographical area that it covers. To give you some perspective, if you were to the distance between our 2 farthest cities within the division, which would be Austin and I guess San Diego, would be about 1,300 miles, which I believe is about 4 times the distance from the top of Ireland to the bottom of Ireland. So that always makes it kind of a challenge for getting county or divisional play in because of the distance. We have had in the last few years sort of a regional tournament that we've held here in Denver called the Rumble in the Rockies. That's had some pretty good representation from the clubs. We're not doing that this year, obviously, because of finals being in Denver. But yeah, we do try to get that competition in, but it's always a challenge.
I've actually heard really good things about that tournament. It's a full 13-a-side tournament, right? It's not like a sevens, right?
That's correct. We do have, we've got 3 regulation size pitches. Then we usually host it in July. It can be a very warm tournament at times, but the fields are great. And there's always a great after party, and players seem to really enjoy it.
The football or the after party?
I'd like to think both.
Oh yeah, so can you talk about any other big tournaments, events you've got going on?
Yeah, there is the other or a couple of the other big tournaments. We've got one that is coming up here Memorial Day weekend, and it's a very large tournament which is held in San Diego. It's the San Diego Sevens tournament. I'm not sure if you guys have been. A lot of players have been to that tournament. Tracy Rivera founded that tournament and it's been spectacular. So that's always a good showing there with teams from all over the country coming to compete. We do have some Texas championship tournaments that go on down in Texas that have a good representation there. And a new tournament that has come on just in the last couple years is what's called the Space City Scramble, which is down outside of Houston. So those are some of the major tournaments. We actually have some smaller ones that pop up here and there. We're actually going to play in Albuquerque here in a couple of weeks. There's an Irish festival there, and I know that Arizona and Denver and my club, the Regulators, are going down there to play and put on a good showing for those folks down in Albuquerque. So, and who knows, maybe that will spur the development of a club down there. We used to have one a while back ago, and we'd sure like to get some representation in New Mexico also.
And then is that all men's tournament, or is that a mix of men, ladies, youth, or is that just men's?
Well,
the Space City Scramble I think they've been intending to be ladies focused, which is great because there aren't too many, I think, tournaments around the country that are focused on ladies football. So that's an important, I think, for the growth of ladies football. Tournaments like that are, they're really important to be supported by the clubs, by any resources we can do to support those types of tournaments is great for the growth of the game.
Yeah.
And how does the youth system look in your division as well? So I know obviously up in the Northeast, we have a number of youth clubs up around this area. How's the Southwest division looking for youth teams and camps, etc.?
Well, we do have a growing youth program that's being spearheaded by the Denver Gales here in Denver. That program continues to grow every year. Tom, I'm not sure how many youth they have signed up this year, but it's looking pretty impressive, headed up by a gentleman named John Slattery. I do know there's also a youth program in California, I believe. And I'm not sure if there's one in Texas. I don't get too much involved in that, but maybe Tom, you know a little bit more than I do.
And I think maybe Austin might have a little bit of a youth program. Ours in Denver kind of, went from 0 to 40, 50 kids 3 years ago. And part of that is people of my generation. So I have 2 boys who are 7. It was their birthday this week, so happy birthday, Ryan and Patrick.
Happy birthday, boys.
They've started playing, and a lot of the guys I played with, they have kids about the same age, so that was really a great base of kids to start with. And then you have someone who's evangelical about the sports, like John Slattery has been. We have them in all our communities, right? There's somebody who's just passionate about the games, wants to show it off, wants to bring people into the organization, and it's been a huge support for getting youth off the ground again in Denver, because we went probably about 12, 15 years without a youth program, which is a shame, because the guys that were in our Denver youth program back in the day, a few of them, like one is Shane O'Neill, who now plays for Toronto in MLS. His brother Darrow was the punter for University of Colorado. Woody Kincaid is he ran I think 10,000 meter race in the Olympics last year. So, it can be, even if you don't end up playing, Gaelic football a ton when you're older, it's a tremendous base to grow your own athletic abilities as a young player.
Definitely. I actually saw a pretty cool thing that's going on over in Ireland there. You might have seen it, Gareth. There's a fella, he was actually a Irish guy, rugby player for the New England Free Jacks. They're like a newly formed professional team up here. And I think it's between him and another guy called Cahill or something is his second name, I'm pretty sure. They have like a whole program going where they're coaching like Gaelic footballers to try and get them into like colleges in the US as mostly like field goal kickers and some punters. I think like
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. They've got like a whole, it's kind of like the what do you call that thing?
The
Like
combine.
it'll track all your stats of your kicks, angles and everything like that. It's real detailed. But yeah, no, definitely, I'd agree. Like Gaelic football in particular, I think can really just give you a good base of like fitness and athleticism. There's so much running in it, all that.
Absolutely.
Same goes for hurling, definitely.
Well, I
Yeah.
think in the summer, our season is pretty much the summer. So a lot of these like high school kids and college kids, they'll play their sports, the fall, like September through maybe May. But then after that, they're done for the summer.
Yeah.
So, Gaelic football and hurling, is that kind of like, hey, I can stay fit by playing Gaelic football, learn a new sport, and then maybe go to college. But then after college, if they're not playing another sport, a lot of the times they come out and they're maybe playing like a pickup soccer once a week and, maybe pick up basketball, but they're not really like involved with a club. There's nothing really there for them. Gaelic football has that, in my opinion, that level of, like serious competition, but fun at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're getting the best of both worlds. Where I'm part of something that's good fun, good, but when I'm playing, I still like to be like pretty competitive, and I still want to win, right? So
Yeah.
that's where I think Gaelic football and hurling has the opportunity. So if we can get into these schools, at a teenage, like even younger, but that 10 to 13, we can get in there to the schools and get them a couple of years, because it's a few years for them to get the sport.
Yeah.
It's you almost have your introductory season where you're just playing a couple of games. Some people might pick it up quicker than others, especially hurling is very tedious. It can be very frustrating for a hurler. And Mike, you're a hurler, so you probably experience some of the same thing. But you walk into a practice as a new player and you see everybody like picking the ball up, or you're doing a drill and you're that one person slowing it down. Like what that does to your confidence, or playing a game and you're, struggling to get the ball up a couple of times. It takes time. It really does take time. Football, on the other hand, I think is a little different. You can walk in a little quicker. It's still, yes, the skill, the skill comes over the time. The reading of the game comes over time. But it's a long-term commitment. It's not just walk in. It's very rare if we have any players walk in and they're shown like, they're
Yeah, with
Davy
hurling,
Clifford.
like you'd say your first year playing hurling is nearly always just try to find your feet. Football, you
Yeah.
have a chance of like being a decent player in the first year, I would say.
Yeah.
Um,
One of the
Another.
guys from our club, Shay Dunn, has said that to get more hurlers, right? We have a lot of Americans in my club, and they're very interested in the hurling. And when football was a little bit down, you get more. We try to get more of the hurlers to step in and try football, give it a try, right? And Shay Dunn from our club had some good observation that I think it's true that if you're new to hurling, it's beneficial to also learn Gaelic football as well, because you can watch the game develop more easily. It takes plays take a little bit longer to develop in football than in hurling when you're just bashing the slitter down the field. I subscribe to that observation as wholeheartedly. I think that's a great way to get hurlers into football. It'll make them a better hurler.
Oh, both sides. Whether you're football to hurling to football, it's the same field, it's the same positions. It's reading the game in pretty much the exact same way. Only
Yeah.
it's your big ball versus your small ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Make sure your
That's why
eyesight is on point.
that's part of why I think it's great for clubs to have both sports. I think like how many we've had great success in our club of people trying out football and then they end up loving hurling, like or vice versa. It's happened with a few of the guys there. They would have never tried hurling. Like I said, they would have looked at it and said, Jesus, not me.
Yeah.
So just to get different people in the door. I think it's
Yeah.
great for clubs if you got both going on.
Yeah, I was just going to mention another, I think, breeding ground for new players that is turning out well for my club is really tapping into the collegiate clubs. The NCGAA is growing. We actually have a club up in Boulder, Colorado, for Colorado University. And so you get a lot of good young players that maybe discover the sport for the first time in college. And then when they graduate, they want to continue with that and they want to keep growing. And so I know that my club has gained a few players that have graduated from CU, are now alumni of that program. And they come in and they already know the game, so there's definitely a resource there, I think, for clubs to tap when it comes to growing their own clubs.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think it would be great to see GA tap into more high schools and colleges and all that, because I think it just takes a few usually, doesn't it? It's hard to, if you've got it going on at a few schools, a few colleges, next thing you know, they can play games against each other and all that.
Yep.
Feel like it's easier to grow then.
And the games are so important. You can practice all day, but if you don't have games to look forward to.
But that's it. It's the trips. It's the trips away. Getting to know people and all that. That's where you really,
Didn't I see Colorado was at weren't they at the collegial games in Kentucky?
They were.
Yep.
Yeah, how did they do?
They ended up winning the Shield match for hurling.
Nice.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And was
silverware is always good?
Yeah. Was that ladies or men or co-ed?
Co-ed. Right? I mean, in
because I know UConn
sport, it has to be co-ed. Yeah.
So I know UConn usually send a team down every year. We had a couple of people that actually came through the UConn system. That plays.
Yeah, we've had a handful of players over the years on the hurling. We played against UConn a few times before in scrimmages. Yeah, they seem like they have a good time. Mm-hmm. Big group of guys and girls. Like I would say it would be almost half and half sometimes.
That's brilliant.
So. Yeah, that college period can be a period where you lose, the players in your youth. Right, there can be that disconnect between they've played youth growing up, then they go to a college where there isn't Gaelic games, and then maybe they'll return to it later after college. So that's one of the focuses, I think, of our organization, just development, just keeping that link between the youth to adult. You had Robbie Croft on the other week, and I think he was talking about one of the clubs where they had a youth program, and the players as they aged, they formed their own junior club in the Northeast, and that's a great example. And then, I think you chatted with Bernie and John a little bit, and Robbie about the junior All Ireland team. I think that's going to be another great opportunity to attract, people in that 18 to 24 age group to the games and keep them engaged. That's nothing I would have ever expected growing up, and I'm sure that'd be a powerful motivator for any young player.
A free trip to Ireland to go play football and go see it. Hey, who wouldn't be all over that?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Connor's technically American born. You could probably qualify for it, right, Connor? I don't know if I can, but maybe that's a topic we'll bring up in the next. We'll bring that conversation up to somebody else.
But not me, not the treasurer.
So if you guys had any advice for somebody maybe coming in looking to get involved, whether to start a team, maybe they're looking to join a club, have you any advice for them, where they can go, who they can reach out to for looking to get involved?
Well, I know that.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Michael said, I think when his example of how he came into the sport is typical of so many Americans. It's a friend brings you in, introduces to, it's not so much like the broad marketing campaign so much. It's really about just making personal connections with people and inviting them in. And then USGAA has resources. Robbie the games development officer he had chatted with the other week. I mean, he spends countless hours helping new clubs find their way and providing them with support, and guiding them through the process. And then, yeah, as you get into it, you get, maybe on a club nearby, or your division is able to offer assistance as well as helping you navigating this organization.
Yeah, and I think as someone who founded a club, we it looks like we're going to register close 30 players this year, and we've only been around for what, 5-6 years, and and a lot of it I think has to come down with just having fun, right? I mean, that's a big reason why all our players come out is, they want to play a sport, they want the exercise, but at the end of the day, they also want to be part of something, the camaraderie and the fun. So we do a lot of social events, not just play and practice, and where all the lads get to really know each other. And I think that if you kind of surveyed a lot of our players, we've got kind of a family where they're all, real close friends now. I mean, we attend each other's weddings and birthday baptisms. We've got lads that are having kids for the first time, and so it's that real camaraderie that I think keeps the players coming back once you recruit them, right?
I think you brought up two good points there. A few good points, but two I wanted to touch on: the community aspect. We talk about this a lot on the show, and it's it's getting involved with a community of people, who's some of them has Irish background, great. Some of them are from Ireland. Some of them might not even have an Irish background. But it's just getting involved with a sporting group where, in the weekends after a game, I can go have a couple of pints, or hey, I'm gonna go to a game, a football game. Who wants to go? And like it's that real group setting that people, especially from COVID a couple of years ago, we're all looking to kind of get back into that, the group setting, the team setting, being involved with something that's pretty cool, pretty unique. And then the second part you touched on, it's much of the crack and anything, right? It's all about being with the guys and the girls. I think I'm gonna have to get on to John Young about one of his sayings. We're gonna have to make a T-shirt on it: 25% ball, 75% crack. I think that would make a great T-shirt. So John, I'll make sure I CC you on this, and maybe we'll work on something there about getting like and we'll do a copyright, make sure that nobody takes your idea, John. So we'll I think that would make a great T-shirt though, lads.
Oh, Michael, I don't suppose you were out at the Knees That Crack tournament by any chance?
I absolutely was. Yeah. Yes, that was really enjoyed my time playing in that tournament, although it did take my body a few days to recover from it. But yeah, that was a crack for sure.
Nice. Yeah, my father was actually out at that. 64 years of age, definitely up there with the oldest of them there, I would say.
Yeah, well,
I'm Mike,
50,
were you the fella that got sent off for headbutting?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Jeez, nice. Yeah. No, it's great to see things like that going on, definitely we can do a little more to have more things going on, to see something different like that, Las Vegas for an over 40s hurling tournament. Like, I never would have thought you'd see the day where you see something like that happen.
And two, it was a fundraising tournament for the college team. So it went to a good cause. It's the old guys supporting the young, supporting the youth. So good cause. I know they've already started plans for next year, and I definitely plan to be there because I don't know how many more tournaments I'll be able to play in. Although your father is definitely setting a strong precedence there.
Yeah. Example to everyone there.
I think more Masters style tournaments would be a huge hit. They actually have them at home. So they actually have the county master teams where they actually play in like the reserve, like the junior leagues at home. Yeah. And it's absolutely hilarious. The boys are brilliant, crack, but they've been playing together for years. Yeah. So, but they'll only play like championship. They'll not play like the league. But more Masters tournaments, and because we are getting to a stage now where some of those guys who's ran the club, you want to have something for them to look forward to as well, because you don't want to lose them out because the team's just getting younger and I have no interest in coaching. If you've got 2 tournaments a year to keep them involved, that would be, in my opinion, sufficient to keep lads involved in with a group and keep them in for like maybe then an administrative role. They might be a little bit more interested in that because they have something to play for. So that could be something,
Garrett, do you remember? I don't suppose you remember on Sky Sports when they used to have the Masters soccer on that. And I remember like a lot of young kids, we used to love watching it, and they stopped doing it. Like, and a bunch of young kids we were all complaining that they didn't have it on anymore. I was thinking like, there could be almost a market for like Masters hurling or Gaelic football. Like, I'd say a lot of people would love to watch, especially like hurling. Like, it's a bit of a different type of game. I'm sure, more physicality and all that, and pulling and dragging. I'm sure.
So,
at the very least, it's a good
Mike, was that you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I heard there was some shenanigans going on there. All right,
cheating moves, but I'll tell you, I definitely came back, learned a few.
Yeah.
So, Mike, was that you got sent off in the first game for headbutting, or was that somebody else? There was a rumor. There was rumors flying around. So, and it was co-ed too, right?
Slightly, anyway, I think.
Slightly. There may have been a couple ladies out there. Yes, there were a couple. Yes.
Yeah, we heard a story from someone who was at the tournament. No, we won't mention names, no. That there was a bit of fisticuffs with a married couple he had.
Yeah. He had the deal. He was getting a bit of rough and rowdy with the husband, so the wife had to step in.
I didn't know where that story was going.
Yeah, not that kind of story, but
okay, right.
The wife stepped in and had to do a little bit of wrestling, just to, show him who was boss. But we'll not name no Liam's, so no names. But I heard great things about the tournament, and again, more like that would be, and that's the thing. Like, the boys have memories there, and the girls have memories for years. Like, there's a story that we'll be talking about for years, and he'll probably get a load of shit for a few years. But those are the memories they'll remember, and it'll keep them coming back every year.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but probably the biggest instigator that entire day was little 5'6" Steve Power, who's our ref coordinator.
Well, he was probably the one that was throwing the headbutts. There was somebody out there that was just somebody in the first game just threw a headbutt, and it was like, right, sent off first game, like the first 5-10 minutes. Obviously, he didn't want to play, or he was hungover or something. He was like, "Fuck this."
He wanted to go back to the casino.
Yeah. So smart man.
So we've got the Nationals in Denver this year. Is that right?
That's right. 4 months. Less than 4 months.
How are preparations for that going?
Going well. We've got a local host committee, right? Michael said earlier, we've got a large division. We stretch from California to Texas. So we've got a good local host committee here. Few members and former members of my club. Definitely one of the positive things of hosting it is it's brought some former players back into the fold and get them involved with the sport and the club. So that's been great to see. And then Michael in the Southwest Division have been great support as well. Taking the lead on the PR piece, it really helps us out in cutting down on, it's certainly a role it's very important, communicating out to the world what's going on. But it also isn't a distraction for us that, we can make sure we get the facilities created and sorted out for a great tournament.
Yeah.
Now, you guys Denver has held a Nationals before, right? Were you guys involved with that?
No, that's before I was involved. That was in 2004. But thankfully, some of the guys that were organizing it back in 2004 are still involved. So they can. I think it was a bit smaller tournament back in 2004. Yeah. There's just been so much growth across the country.
It's going to be in Boulder, Colorado. Am I right in saying that? Or is it near Boulder? Or
near Boulder, so Longmont. Longmont will be about 40 minutes north of Denver. it'd be similar to, the distance from Chicago Gaelic Park to Chicago, or Canton to Boston.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think the idea is we're going to have, I think most of the hotels are in between the fields and the city. Really just trying to create a great experience, show off Colorado, and the Southwest.
We were actually laughing. I'm actually thinking about the Denver Gales jersey there. Is that the jersey behind you there, Gareth, as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I made sure that's up behind me.
No, we were laughing. There's a fella, you might have seen him online there, social media. He's got a social media page, Junior B Things. He's got some funny enough social media content.
Yeah.
But he was doing like a jersey competition or something. I think he was trying on a bunch of different jerseys, and he had the Denver one. He was like, "Oh, Denver, Colorado." He mustn't know anything about Denver, Colorado. He said, "Oh, there must be like mountains or something." He said there must be mountains or something there. I guess he had no idea. Thought it was kind of funny.
What would you say is going to be the biggest challenge for you guys? Because obviously the last time you held nationals, 2004, there's been serious growth, and especially in the junior divisions. And then obviously we've seen, last year in Chicago, the amount of people, the amount of divisions, codes, there's thousands of people coming in,
Yeah.
How, airport travel, shuttle buses, hotels. Like, I don't even want to know what else is in that, because my head's spinning even thinking about what those meetings are like. But what is the big challenges you're facing right now?
You look the last 2 years, we were in Boston in 2021, we were in Chicago last year, and they've got tremendous facilities. We basically have to replicate a Gaelic Park or a Irish Cultural Center in Longmont. So building the infrastructure to have that, to have registration set up, to have food, and most importantly, the bar. We spend a lot of time making sure that everyone's going to have a great experience, as a great time to relax and watch the games. I think one of the benefits of how the fields are laid out is you'll basically be able to see every single field from multiple vantage points.
Oh,
so you want to see two different games going on at the same time. It's going to be a great experience for the viewer.
Yeah, and to get people excited.
I'm curious to see what the scenery is going to be like.
We've got some really nice photos of the complex on the division's website, which is swusgaa.com. And I really encourage people to go check out those photos, because I think that'll really get you excited once you see the complex and you see the quality of the fields and the mountains in the backdrop, you're going to want to come and play.
Very cool.
And it's 5 all grass fields. So I think sometimes people feel, it's again, in fairness, it's very difficult to find 5 GAA fields in any metro American city.
Yes,
it's a very difficult task. But we're really excited. We're able to make sure every player gets to play on grass.
Nice. Unreal. You might have seen. We talked about it with Bernie Connaughton actually for a minute. Do you think high altitudes will play a role there? Are people going to be sucking wind a little more out there? Do you think, or
no problem? It'll be all right.
Yeah. No, I hear them talking about it in the NFL, don't they? With the field goal kicks, with the altitudes. We're here wondering if we need to be shooting for points from further out, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, you might get a little bit of distance. I'd say, that would definitely be true. I'm sure, Michael, maybe we could get a humidor like the Rockies do to make sure the ball doesn't fly as far, right? Because everything kind of dries out up here at altitude, and that's part of the reason.
Don't be doing that. Highly advised not.
Yeah, the lads in Mexico
if I want to kick the ball over,
they're actually coming down into altitude.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like 7,000, 7,500 feet in Mexico City. So yeah, they'll be running laps around us. Yeah.
So question.
So go ahead.
Just quick question. So Chicago, obviously you had your 2 airports, right? So you could have flew into like O'Hare, or you could have flew into Midway, which was kind of a
Yep.
two. Is that a similar thing for you guys? Or is it just one airport?
Yeah, it's pretty much just Denver Airport. There's two other airports, but like Colorado Springs is going to be at least 2 hours away from where you need to be. So don't look at Colorado Springs. Denver is going to be your primary airport. And then, yeah, the hotels, they should probably be in the Westminster, Broomfield area for the most part, maybe a few in Longmont as well, near the fields. Yeah, and that should be about a 20-30 minute drive to the hotels, except for maybe, yeah, the ones from Longmont might be a little further from the airport. But one of the great things about being out west is I think the speed limit from the airport up to Longmont, 75 miles an hour. So have at it.
Nice.
Not quite like the Autobahn, but pretty close, right?
Yeah. Watch out for the tumbleweeds, though.
Do you know how many teams or players you're expecting to have out to the Nationals this year?
We should find out for sure in June, but I think there's a lot of interest. Partially because it's a new place, right? Again, great facilities, great experience in Philly, Chicago, Boston, San Francisco. I love the chance to go back to Philly as much as possible. So, but I think people are always, it's like, oh, okay, we're going to go to DC, we're going to go to Seattle. It's a new experience. It gets people excited.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an exciting venue for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. I think you have a lot more, like especially in the bigger divisions, a lot more people, because a lot of them are used to going to the Chicagos and the San Francisco, the Philadelphia. But when it's in a city like Denver, it's like, well, hold on a second, like we don't know when we're going to be back here, so let's kill two birds with one stone, and just let's go out for a good time and let's play a bit of Gaelic and hurling at the same time. So I think you might have a lot more people interested in it actually just because of the destination. And Denver's such a fun city. Like I've actually, my brother-in-law is from that area, and he's nothing but great things to say. But a lot of bachelorette parties there. It's a fun destination place. I mean, Cancun might beat it. I'm just saying, sorry lads. I know you're going to be biased there, but I'm all on the Cancun or Mexico City train right now. So, maybe a Nashville comes in a close, second or third, but Denver's definitely up there. So I think you're going to have a lot of people interested with this one. I think it's going to be a great turnout. I mean, Chicago had how many people last year? I mean, had to be a couple thousand.
It was they broke the record anyway. It was the biggest. It was the biggest Nationals. I wouldn't be surprised if this year was even bigger. By the sounds of it,
it was. I got a lot of experience putting on registration wristbands as an expert.
Oh yeah, nice.
I mean, it was, and fair play. I mean, to even the volunteers, especially the volunteers in Chicago, right? Because we started games on the Saturday at 7 a.m. Right? They had volunteers out there lining the fields, doing the buses, all of that logistical work that's so important. And sometimes doesn't get the recognition it deserves, but just being able to adjust to that is is a great challenge.
That's actually a good thing to bring up. So obviously Chicago and Boston have like obviously huge Gaelic communities. Where not to be disrespectful, but Denver isn't to the same level as like involvement with Gaelic, like because you guys are so spread out. We're very like condensed, right? Mm-hmm. So Chicago, everybody's playing pretty much in Gaelic Park, Chicago. A lot of teams are playing in Boston. So for you guys getting volunteers, especially for an event that's probably going to be even bigger than Chicago, how much of a challenge is it for you guys to get volunteers, being so far apart from each other?
I mean, it's like anything. We have multiple Irish organizations in town: Irish Network Colorado, the Emerald Society, that we've partnered with. That'll be a great base. We've had Irish in this state since the 1800s. A great mining tradition up in Leadville, which is something worth learning about. But we can definitely grow on or rely on our partners in the other Irish organizations as well as other organizations around town. Just because it is a new event, it's a unique event, right? So that we don't have that large base of Irish groups that maybe some of the other cities have, it's a unique and Irish people, Irish organizations are generally well regarded in this country. And people are very, very willing to help and support to, make sure that our state looks good.
Yeah, the one thing we do
So
have
every
is
year,
we've got we've got a lot of young, outdoor, athletic-minded people that live in Colorado. And I think that, there'll be
Yeah.
opportunities, we'll be, tapping volunteers where, they may be coming out and seeing Gaelic games for the first time, but they want to help. They want to see this. They want to see it happen. They want to be outside. They want to be a part of it. And that will be a great opportunity for us to continue to grow, our clubs here in the state as we bring out these volunteers that, like I said, may be seeing Gaelic games for the first time.
yeah, I mean, you could talk to people until you're blue in the face about Gaelic football or hurling,
Yeah.
but until they see it, that's when it starts to kick. You can describe Gaelic football in the best way possible, but until you see it or even participate in the training, that's when you get hooked.
Yeah.
That's when you get people in. It's like, oh, this is what it is. Okay, now it's starting to make sense. Every year, every club, every location has its own specific jersey. Has Denver got a 2023 Nationals jersey settled yet?
So we've got a few jerseys that are, I think, for our club. But Michael can weigh in on. So we have clubs. So we'll have at the tournament we're going to have hurling, men's football, ladies football, camogie, and so each of those will have their own specific tournament jersey. And then as far as the division, Michael.
I believe that's something that Masita does as part of their arrangement with the USGAA. So I'm sure that they're in the process of designing something and bringing out some merchandise that can be sold that will be that sort of iconic jersey representing, Colorado and finals being held in Colorado.
Yeah, because they had one last year for Chicago that was beautiful. Like every year they have a different USGA jersey that comes out, and them things sell like hotcakes at nationals. People, I feel like the American kids love merchandise. They love getting the jerseys. They'll wear it everywhere. They love it.
Yeah.
Like we have a couple of American kids in our team that wears Connor's club at home. His whole club is it Ballybricken.
Ballybricken, yeah. He was just talking about planning out his trip to Ireland there. It's Kirby's Bar is our local. He's like, oh, the places I want to go to in Ireland, Kirby's Bar, number one, he said.
But all because they love the merchandise. They love the Gaelic shirts and and the 3/4 zip shirts and maybe not so much the skinny pants. That really hasn't really broke into the American market yet. It's still Irish. I don't think it ever will. Yeah. Well, the short shorts are fine. You know what I mean? But it's the skinny pants. I don't think there's a market yet for the US. Maybe, maybe they'll reconsider. So, Mike, you actually just talked a little bit about where people can find out more information about the tournament. Can you just touch base on that a little more, where people can, about the location, about the fields, and upcoming information as well?
Yeah, so we have a website that has recently been built. We're super proud of it. It's swusgaa.com for the Southwest Division. There's a whole section there that's being built out with regards to finals, which will be sort of your central point of information on all things finals. And we've got some good press kit information that'll be coming up in the next couple of weeks. There'll be links to we've actually are working with a company that's actually based here in Denver that has just a real state-of-the-art online registration system, which we'll be utilizing. And those links will be coming up relatively soon that will allow clubs and players to actually register pretty early and maybe even see some price incentives by doing so. And there'll be
just to clarify, that's registration of tickets.
Correct. Tickets.
That's not for.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah. Registering for tickets. That's what I'll speak to. I won't speak to the USGAA part. There'll be links to sign up to volunteer. A lot of tips will be on there for players that are maybe coming to Colorado to play for the first time, stressing the importance of drinking water, bringing sunscreen, things like that, for players that may not be used to playing at altitude. So definitely encourage people to check it out.
Well, I want to thank Michael and Tom for coming on. It was great to meet you guys. Thanks to our sponsor, Masita. And thanks to everyone who's listening out there. If you like this episode, please do us a favor and like, share, subscribe, whatever you can do. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think. We appreciate it. And thanks, and we'll catch you next time.
Lads.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.